Welcome back to the weekly news roundup and the Quicklines edition. Of course, we have 10 Quickline stories, and we end with a little bit of Sillyville. We have all sorts of interesting stuff coming on down the pipeline. Of course, the very first we want to talk about is there is a fourth installment of DirtyFrag, the root escalation bug that hit the Linux kernel. We have the fourth version of this. This one's called DirtyClone. And so, of course, they've been working on these different things. And this one allows you to regain root access by writing the cache files for the Linux kernel. Now, like the other ones, you have to have local access to the machine. So you can't do this remotely, that I understand. I'm not a security researcher, though, so I didn't research all of it to nth degree. But all of these are sharing the same root failure. File-backed memory gets treated as packet data, and an in-place network operation writes where it should have copied. So the severity of the issue is significant because it allows any unprivileged local user to gain root access by manipulating the Linux page cache. So while the capabilities are namespace, page cache is shared at the host level. So if file-backed pages are modified through sharing mappings, the effects may propagate to other processes, including the pages. Ubuntu 24.04 and later restrict namespace creation via AppArmor, blocking the default exploit path, but every other distribution with default namespace is exposed. So yes, Ubuntu is safe from this one. Rest of y'all are done. Right. So keep an eye out for updates patching that one. Jumping on over, Netflix now requires every user profile to be tied to a unique email address. Yay! More data collection. This seems to be more about marketing than it is about anything else. Of course, it is far more convenient if each profile, in fact, because I think back, my cousin uses Netflix, and they have a profile for the kids, and they have a profile for the parents. I think they have a profile for the mom, and a profile for the dad, and a profile for the kids. And so now they're saying every profile needs its own email address. So they're going to have to set up a separate email address just for their children's account, even though their children do not have email addresses. And this is simply on the television, so they can sit down and go, oh, move Netflix into the children's profile so the children can see their Netflix shows. Okay, children went to bed, switch profiles to mom or dad's profile so they can watch something together. Yeah, you're going to have a different email address for that because Netflix has gone full-fledged moron mode. We should trademark that. Don't go moron mode, switch to Linux. All right, new t-shirt designs. I got to do them anyway, right? So more users have been encountering the situation as Netflix gradually required that each profile under Netflix subscription uses a unique email address. Change means every user can now have their own login credentials, which makes it easier for secondary account holders to store or change their credentials, log into a new device, and use two-factor authentication. See the value proposition? Now this person can manage it. Why? Email requirement. Oh, it does not apply to those belonging to children. Okay, I did misspeak earlier. I forgot about that in there. I guess you said it as a child's account. To work around on this, just set every other account as a child account. Why is this child account watching all these Friday the 13th movies? My kid's demented. What can I say? So, there's an update. Let's see. Netflix has published a support trace addressing the concern. It reads, you can still switch profiles and watch any profile regardless of how you sign in. Well, that's very nice. So other complaints argue that Netflix doesn't truly need this information and is merely seeking more ways to track users and share information. Netflix privacy policy says Netflix may share users' email addresses with marketing and advertising companies. Wonderful. I'm having LastPass PTSD here. So sharing his email with Netflix meant my dad automatically started receiving advertisement for Netflix programming in his inbox. So this is a guy, and the article starts out. The guy has a Netflix account. His dad's using a Netflix account. He needs his own email address so he doesn't miss it. I think it was an MMA fight or something. And so he's able to get in there, log in, watch his MMA account. But of course he had to provide an email for doing that. And immediately he starts receiving marketing messages for it. Oh, Lord help us. So there you go. If you're on Netflix, just delete Netflix, folks. You are actually feeding the evil of the world if you're paying for Netflix. I just want to tell you about that. All right. 119 Edge extensions promised useful tools, instead downloaded malware. Speaking of malware, I'm going to refresh that page for a second. Why did I have something with Chinese characters that said something about English? I am on an English website, am I not? I have no idea. Well, I'm getting infected by the Japanese as we speak. There were a lot of Japanese breaches in the news this week. I have no idea why. I threw them all out, so sorry. Microsoft has removed 119 extensions from Edge add-on store, which were all tied to one adware campaign. Interesting. I thought we were supposed to get our extensions from trusted sources, because trusted sources are where we get our safety from. I mean, it's good they removed it, but 119 extensions were downloaded by 2.6 million users before Microsoft decided to act. They looked down and said, hey, is this malware giving us any money? I don't know. Not enough. All right, let's cut them off. You know, if they're paying like $5 billion or something in ad buys, let them go. That seems all right. All right. The abuse browser extensions infected users. They involved 119 extensions. They were ad blockers, VPNs, translators, video downloaders, calculators, coupon extensions, and so on. Well, a while after they turned out to be sleepers and secretly started downloading additional malware. I do want to point out a couple of these things, like ad blockers. You know, we had the best ad blocker for this ever that most people wouldn't know about if they knew about ad blockers. But no, that has now been crippled because Google removing Manifest v2 from all these browsers. Of course, Edge being built on the same technology. Now that same exact best ad blocker doesn't work on there. So now people are still desperate for ad blockers, go around to the internet trying to find out where they can get their ad blockers from. And of course, now they stumble upon malware because the right one has been thrown off because of the nonsense of Google. All right. Wonderful. So all of these were involved in an ad fraud. Two extensions ran an arbitrary JavaScript which pushed a server, which stole Google credentials and second-factor authentication codes that sign in, harvested WordPress admin logins, and exfiltrated cookies for bulk session hijacking. Good thing that multi-factor authentication is working. Oh, wait. I guess it's not. All right. How long before we are going to have biometric authentication? Everybody's going to have a little thing. You gotta poke your finger into it, and it pokes you and takes a drop of blood and verifies it's you through a DNA sample every single day. You know that we're gonna get to that level, or you can just have Sam Altman scan your eyeball, because you know the guy that created the big problem is certainly the one who's going to solve it for us. Wonderful. Stay safe. Always be careful when downloading extensions, even from reputable app stores. Hey, I want to use F-Droid. They're actually a reputable app store. We actually did get the extension names of these, so I was actually surprised about that. So there's a whole bunch. Look at this. YouTube's forcing everybody on these ads. Look at these. Ad block master for YouTube. Ad block for YouTube. Ad block for YouTube. Ad block for YouTube. TM. Ad block plus for YouTube. TM. All of these malicious things because YouTube is pushing so many ads, it's completely unwatchable now without an ad blocker. So people are downloading this stuff and getting a bunch of malware because Google flew too close to the sun. Here's the news fun fact for Google. I did not run an ad blocker for a long time, but when you started interrupting my video every 30 seconds to push another mid-roll ad, I'm sorry, I'm done. Not doing it. I am not going to interrupt my content so you can play another video ad every 30 seconds. No, it's not happening. I don't have ADD. I don't want to, attention, butterfly, new product, I don't have any money anyway. Leave me alone, you know? I mean, geez. But that's the thing, right? So I never turned on any such alleged devices until they flew too close to the sun. They got too greedy. I literally put up with all of their ads until they flew too close to the sun, and then I'm done. I'm done. Not doing it anymore. Now I see none. Sorry. So, you know, a lot of apps, though. You can get this list. I'm not going to slow down on that list for you. You can grab this article and all the other articles in the description in the video. All the articles over there on the website. All right, third-party breach at Polymarket leads to $2.94 million in crypto theft because, of course, third-party vendors, folks. Security breach of a third-party vendor allowed attackers to inject malicious code into its website, leading to a theft of funds from an undisclosed number of users. The good news is Polymarket is fixing that, but they are also repaying every last Bitcoin that has been stolen. So it does end in good news, and Polymarket at least has enough integrity to do that. I guess the next big thing on Polymarket is are we going to have another Polymarket breach this week? Who's going to be betting on that one? If you win, give me some money. I'm not betting on it because I think gambling is of the devil, and I'm sorry. What Polymarket's doing is gambling or insider trading. I'm not sure. It's one of the two. Can't tell. Half the time it's gambling, half the time it's insider trading. Either way, it should be abolished. All right. Fake domain renewal emails trick website owners into paying scammers. I wanted to include this one because it is huge in my business. I manage, I don't know, maybe 100, 200 websites for different clients on different things. And we have a lot of domains going all over the place. And I hold as many of the domains as I can. But there's, I have, I'd say 3/4 of the people I work with still hold their own domains, which is just fine. The problem is they have no idea who's their domain registrar is. They oftentimes don't know the login for the domain registrar. They have no idea when it's due. They have no idea who they need to pay for that. And that's why I try and hold them for my clients when I can, because I keep track of all that kind of stuff for everybody. But the average person who has a domain name has no earthly idea. And especially some of the places you get a domain name from, if you check the whois, the domain name is held by somebody different than you're paying it from. And since you really only update them or pay them at the least every year, many people just get completely lost in what's going on and are very, very highly susceptible to this. In which case, they're either going to steal the domain from you, which is really bad, or they're going to steal your payment details and just steal money from you. So, and this has been going around. I've seen it from everything from email scams to postal mail scams. That's exciting. I just start handing them all over to the postmaster and tell them it's mail fraud. Actually, as soon as I started doing that, within 6 months, I stopped receiving those. This guy reports us for mail fraud. And it was the same company, but I think every 6 months to a year, they would change their company name. Scam me to the extent. But here you go. Action required. Domain expiring soon. You only have 2 days left. The expediency. So here's your domain name. Here's the expiration date. Here's your registration date, last updated. And then here's your summary. Specialty price expires in 13 minutes. Oh, Lordy. So it's only $2. So people think they're going to lose their domain. So they buy into this because they have no earthly idea where their domain's actually at. So it starts with this here. Here's your domain renewal reminder. And then, you got to click on the button, of course, which goes to this Renoverix brand. So of course this looks all legit because they just scrape your data from the whois, particularly if you're not using domain privacy. And so there you go. This, that makes it look as though the site has queried the official domain registry. Some of the information may come from genuine public records of what makes the page appear authoritative is simply invented. So this has everything designed to push your panic button. Your domain could be at risk. You got to click on the button. You got to go through all the information. So now they've phished all of your data. You got to go through the secure checkout. Of course, it's secure because they have this weird emoji of this customer service person. They have this green shield, so it's totally legit. I mean, that green shield means it's safe. I mean, it's not just a JPEG that you could just throw onto any website. I mean, do we dare? No, I'm not going to do that. We can just go right on over to any search engine, type in green shield image, and you'll get 100 of these to choose from. And then, hey, you have another JPEG image. It says secure checkout. So that legitimately means secure. Of course, since SSLs are free these days, it probably is a quote unquote secure checkout. It securely checks you out right on into the scammer's wallet. I mean, that's the way it goes. So, of course, people fall for it because they have no earthly idea where their domain is at. And that is honestly why so many people are, which will follow the beast right into hell. It's like a game of lemmings. All right. So the AI jobs debate just got messier. I wanted to include this one just because it has some counter information of what I said, but still doesn't disprove what I say. So this was a report showing that in many industries, headcounts are still going up despite the AI usage. But again, that's just because a lot of these that they looked at here are just VC startups that just have so much money to blow, and you have to have warm bodies to push the button, you know. I guess that's a button pusher. That's not as much sheep. That's more of a monkey, right? Got to push the button. Got to push the button like a good little monkey. Get your banana for your job well done. But the report here says promises from the tech industry that AI will also create new jobs as little to ease fears, especially for the generation wondering if anyone will be hiring when they graduate. So they looked at 22,000 companies respectively, complicates the gloomy narrative. The strongest job growth among high-intensity adopters was in the information sector, which includes software, internet, media, and tech adjacent firms. It skews heavily towards tech-forward, knowledge works firms, and ones that might have VC backing and are growing the fastest anyway. And that's the key factor. These companies that have just received a massive VC capital injection, they're going to grow like gangbusters because that's the current market of small startup business. You've pitched some idea to a VC, you get $10 million, you hire a bunch of people. Most of these companies simply go belly up. The person in charge of it, they made a lot of money off the VC funds. The company went bankrupt, so the VC just lost a little bit of money. Kind of good, actually. I don't know. But then you had a whole bunch of people that had a job for, 2, 5, 7 years before the company goes belly up. They at least had a paycheck for 7 years of their life. That's not too bad. But that really is the marketing trend. And so it just turns out that a lot of these VC-backed companies, they are relying on AI, but, that top guy making all those top dollar, A, he's got to have a bunch of people below him to make his company look legitimate, and B, he's not going to be going in there and playing with all the AI. You need plebs for that. So, they are still hiring because they just have a VC capital injection. They don't actually have any revenue. So the paper does not show that A1 sauce universally creates jobs, the paper's author admits, but it does counter claims that AI will lead to broad job losses. But in tech-forward firms, report finds that entry-level headcount actually rose by 12%. So some of them are actually going up. The problem is that companies that buy subscriptions and run pilots yet did not go on to make sustained investments don't tend to see any gains in headcount per the report. So it basically says that people aren't necessarily getting jobs as much anyway. Just those fast-growing VC ones are. But speaking, though, of the AI and job loss, Ford realized here that quality control really suffers when you hand everything over to AI. So they are actually rehiring 350 veteran engineers, many of them whom were former employees, because the AI is horrible at quality control. Human engineers can look at stuff and go, yeah, that's going to fail. It's going to be a fail point. So Ford actually, and maybe this is why they've had so many recalls lately, Ford actually said that since they started doing this, quality control went way up and their actual costs of recalls went dramatically down. They said hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars in tailwind in Ford costs. This is savings from having to do recalls because you brought real humans back who actually knew what they were doing. This was actually a situation that turned out for the best for everybody. So there's that. And then you have Instagram is now testing more ways to customize your algorithm. Talk about something else that needs banned, algorithms. There's many state laws that are trying to ban algorithms for kids' accounts, and I think that those need pushed onto everywhere. I should have the option to use an algorithm. It should be opt-in and not opt-out, okay? When I first, years ago, I lacked brain cells like most young people and created a Facebook account. Back then, everything I got a chronological feed of what people I really knew in real life were posting about online. And it was fine. Facebook was fine under that period of time. In fact, it was pretty great. I could keep up with what my friends were doing because I had friends in multiple states at that point in time. I could keep up with everybody was doing without email threads and phone calls and stuff like that. And so it was really nice in that circumstance. Looking at this, though, the algorithm was pushed, and the algorithm just pushes that on. So now you have ways to customize your algorithm. My question, do I have a way to turn the algorithm off? I do not want to see an algorithm. I want to see a chronological listing of the people I follow. I want to see their individual feeds. That's it. That's all I want to see. But hey, if you're on Instagram, you can now customize that, I guess. There you go. Amazon is now blaming piracy apps with malware for killing the new Fire Stick sideloading. So they are releasing new Fire Sticks. These are based on a Linux build instead of an Android build. And of course, they've had to lock that Linux build down. This is Vega OS. So with your Vega OS, you can no longer sideload things, which Amazon says people were sideloading illegal apps, allowing them to stream games at a loss of billions of dollars in revenue. Wouldn't somebody please think of those corporations? So Amazon is blaming the threat of malware for its decision to stop releasing new Fire Sticks that support sideloading apps from outside Amazon's App Store. One of the biggest differences between Vega OS and Fire OS is the former does not support sideloading. And so sideloading has become largely associated with streaming piracy, they said. And a report from Ender's Analysis, a media telecommunications research firm, said that Fire Sticks enabled billions of dollars worth of streaming piracy. Oh, won't you think of the corporations? Think of this. Amazon, they got more money than they know what to do with. Like Bezos is using his revenue to build a millennial clock. Because he's got nothing better to do. He's building yachts so big they have to tear down historical bridges to get it out of the port. $1 billion could be lost. $1 billion could be lost by a bunch of people who are struggling to put gas in their car. At some point in time, we have to stop and say, you know what? This is the stuff that wins Democrats on the corporate greed angle. This is where I will agree with them on so many principles. Now, I am not for completely killing all of their revenue, give everything out for free. But when it comes down to it, these sports are so highly regulated to extract as much money from as possible out of people. We're complaining and sad that Amazon is losing billions of dollars from people who can barely afford to eat. All they want to do is watch some people kick around a piece of leather wrapped in a ball. All right. You want to give them their entertainment. Just throw a bone to them, Amazon. You're doing fine, you know. Obviously, this is complicated because I am not necessarily in for the piracy angle, as I had said in my recent video looking at what Sony was doing. But as long as you start doing this kind of stuff, you know, you're just going to enable more of it and more of it and more of it. And that's kind of a bit of a problem. There is, of course, the malware. Won't someone think of the malware, you know? Of course, they're more concerned about losing billions of dollars. They don't really care if your stuff is hacked and you lose all your stuff. They don't really care about that. They really care about that billions of dollars that they would have made by a bunch of people watching a bunch of other people kick around a dead cow wrapped in a ball. You know, I mean, that's the thing, right? So Safari and Chrome also flagged one of the app's official websites. Publication reported in 2018 a botnet infected Android devices with cryptocurrency mining malware appeared on some Fire Sticks. All right, so yeah, there's some stuff needed, I guess. I don't know. And Cloudflare has a new policy. This is actually, I don't know, Cloudflare is starting to endear me to their company. For a while, I was pretty much anti-Cloudflare, but they're doing some pretty good stuff from completely curb stomping a couple of patent trolls. Oh, Cloudflare. Curb stomp that patent troll. Who's just dropping on my bridge? Cloudflare. Go ahead. Okay. All right. So now, of course, they're targeting the all of the AI companies. And so I think I kind of like what Cloudflare is doing here. So starting September 15th, Cloudflare's default setting will block all mixed-use crawlers from any pages that host ads, the company announced. So if you have a website hosted through Cloudflare with ads, which has ads on it, anything that may possibly be AI is not allowed over here. It's like, hey, you can let an AI through that's indexing a page. You are not allowed to let an AI through that's copying data. Right. So they point out that most website owners want their content to be discoverable via search and often through AI services as well, but they want protections against having their intellectual property given away for free. And that really has been the cornerstone of some of these lawsuits. So the majority of traffic on the internet is now non-human. So I guess the dead internet theory is true. Come on, man. This is according to the Cloudflare co-founder Matthew Prince. Okay, so come on, YouTube, don't be giving me that little banner down there about the dead internet theory, some weird theory that doesn't exist. No, Cloudflare said it. All right, and so there you go. We must go further and act faster so that sustainable ecosystem can emerge, he says. So they also release a range of tools giving publishers more control over their data, and one of these is going to be a pay-per-use, the company said, which will allow publishers to charge AI companies when their content creates value, not just when it's fetched. So anytime an AI company spits out any of your information, you get paid for it. That's not a bad model. Okay, so Cloudflare's doing some pretty good stuff. I don't know. We'll see. I need them to go out and curb stomp a couple more patent trolls, and then I'll definitely be on their better grace. Well, with the quick lines out of the way, let's go ahead and jump on over into our Sillyville. Our first one's not directly tech related. It's just too funny to not pass up, and I have some comments on it. Apparently, there's a Mexican Batman that keeps on gift wrapping the bad guys and leaving for the cops. Of course, the police are after Batman, not the criminals. He actually puts masks on them, draws whiskers, and actually, I think, leaves evidence of their crimes. Something like that. So there is a masked vigilante over here, and I have no idea what this says over here, but you can see this guy over here. He's taped to a light pole. This guy's taped to a light pole. These guys are taped to light poles. So at least 5 men were discovered helplessly duct taped to street poles over the last 10 days, beginning on June 13th in the area of Lagos de Moreno, I think. Many of the alleged thieves had mustaches, cat whiskers, and the Spanish word for thief scrawled on their faces, according to several images. Police are treating the tied-up men as victims and are attempting to catch the vigilante. State Security Secretary Juan Pablo Hernandez said, according to the outlet, the men were able to cut free from the post and were treated for their injuries. It's unclear if they are being investigated for the alleged thefts. So, mysterious Mexican Batman vigilante emerges in Jalisco, hunting suspected motorcycle thieves and taping them to street poles. Of course, you got a picture of a dude with the Mexican mustache. And then, of course, this starts a whole trend of people drawing mustaches on Batman. So, here you go. 5 have already been found. Of course, they found the Mexican Batman here. Let me do this here. So, here you go. To be clear, this is like a Halloween party or something, but here you go. Here's Batman. All right, Batman. Okay. All right. So there's that. So Batman is Mexican and he's taping thieves to poles. Here's the Daily Caller after the lack of help from the authorities. Official Danny T, are you the Mexican Batman? All right, here's another one. And then there's a Super Friends clip. And then, of course, let's not get our masked vigilantes confused. This is Zorro, right? I mean, come on. It's Zorro, not Batman. Now, here's the serious commentary I have on this. We need a society that functions properly without vigilantism. The unfortunate thing is, particularly here in America, we're starting to see people going around murdering people who already have a rap sheet of like 30 violent crimes. It may take vigilante justice to get these people off the streets. And if they're safer in prison, than they are not in prison, that might be something that would do it. Now, I would not advocate for violating the law or doing anything like this, but I am saying if a whole lot of people, a whole lot of these activist judges under the name of compassion want to release people on the streets who have been absolutely heinously long, violent criminal records, and somebody comes by and clubs them like the Alaskan Avenger, I ain't going to shed any tears. Okay. So that's it's a complicated social thing, but as long as we have people who are let off scot-free back into society after they commit violent crimes, we may need a healthy dose of this to course correct back. And as long as the legal system is functioning well, people should not engage, because after all, who does indeed watch the watchmen? But the fact of the matter is, if the judges aren't doing anything, I think the police by and large are doing a good job. But if the judges aren't doing anything and the district attorneys aren't doing anything, maybe it's about time we start firing some of them and bringing in people who will actually uphold the law. Maybe we need to have absolute minimum sentences for some crimes that the judge does not have any leeway over. And that is how you stop vigilante Batman from coming down the pipeline. Next up, Ohio police retire a useless robot cop after one measly year of patrolling a parking garage, making 0 arrests, having 0 criminal cases, and issuing 0 tickets. I guess it was just roaming through the parking lot like some homeless bum. It's a homeless robot. So didn't do anything. It did cost the citizens of Dublin, Ohio, $128,000 in tax money to have this stupid robot running around like a homeless bum. At least maybe it wasn't begging for money. Yeah, maybe it was. I don't know. But they said they ended the DubBots pilot program after it determined the robot wasn't meeting its operational needs. So it had been returned to the technology company Nightscope, its California-based creator. The robot was meant to prevent crime, support police operations, and hence the city's emergency response and provide additional support in high-traffic public spaces. Its patrols did not lead to any arrests, criminal cases, or tickets, according to Gray. It also never identified any incidents requiring police response during its patrols. So you guys down in Dublin, Ohio, y'all might want to start asking for some tax money back. I don't know. So there's that. And of course, we've all ordered new things on Amazon, expecting something new. This is something you would definitely expect to be new. And to quote Ernest P. Worrell, ew. Okay. An Amazon customer receives a slightly used cremation urn. Are we having a Big Lebowski issue here? They got something cheap to throw the ashes in, threw it all over his friend, and then sent it back because it was within the return window? I don't know, man. Amazon is notorious for sketchy, sometimes previously used items being delivered as if they're new. Sometimes you can deal with that or send it back for replacement, but what if you ordered a decorative urn? That's what this person bought. Family who bought an urn, horrified to find someone else's remains inside. I don't even know how this happens, I chose her mother and uncle's, her mother and uncles chose an urn for the family member. The family also set aside a small portion of cremated remains for close relatives. According to Warner, they decided to purchase a small keepsake urn, a brass heart from Amazon. Came within a couple of days. When I opened it, it was just a little dusty. Found the urn already occupied. Oh, dear. Dear, it's San Bernardino County, too. All right. Not even the first time Ashley Wagner had to deal with strangers' ashes. We had a similar past situation. So this person gets this apparently a lot. Don't buy urns from Amazon, folks. All right. Similar past situations. My husband and I came across a box of ashes in an alleyway where we lived. She said they turned those remains over to the sheriff's office, which located the family. They said they weren't interested for whatever reason. They just didn't want the remains. Warner said she and her husband then spread those ashes in the Arizona mountains. Okay. So there was speculation. It was up here somewhere, I think. But the speculation was, maybe it's in a comment. I don't know. I saw some speculation. What if these people, they just really wanted to spread their ashes in the, in an Amazon warehouse. So they sent it back with the ashes in there, hoping an Amazon employee would pick it up and it'd spill it accidentally all over the place. Just if that happens to be you, just know that when you ship stuff back to Amazon, it never actually goes back to Amazon. It just goes to the places that buy Amazon returns, which are amazing stores, by the way. I've been in some. They're actually kind of interesting. You get to go in there, and some stuff might be returned because it's broken. A lot of stuff is just returned because people simply don't want it. It's very interesting. There's our Sillyville. Let me know, and don't buy urns from Amazon. Just don't do it. Dangerous. Let me know your thoughts about all those stories in the comments down below.